everybody. Nice to see you. How are you all keeping?
Very good.
Yeah. Amara, I need to speak to you later. I'm sorry I didn't reply your email.
No, it's okay.
I just thought it was easier to talk. And besides, my big computer broke down. So Mario has to go away for a few months. He wants to continue the course though. So we're going to, the story of the stone. Right, there is this master sculptor, and he brings this big piece of marble, and he cuts it into half. So he starts chiseling away at the first piece of marble. But the marble won't give way. He goes, ouch, each, ouch. He goes, oh, I can't work with this marble. It doesn't give way. So he goes to the other piece of marble, and he starts chiseling away. And the marble goes, eeks, it hurts. But you know what? I trust the sculptor. I trust the sculptor. I know the sculpting is going to make he's going to make something beautiful out of me. So the sculptor works on this piece of marble, and at the end of the day, he makes this beautiful goddess. And with the second piece of marble, which wouldn't like too much chiseling, he makes a little block, a base for the beautiful goddess. So he takes it to the temple, and everybody goes, oh, wow, what a beautiful piece of sculpture. And of course, in the Hindu tradition, they take flowers and they adorn the goddess with flowers. But as they adorn her with flowers, they step on the base. So the base starts complaining, hey, we come from the same marble piece. How come they step on me and they garland you? And the marble answered, well, when the great sculptor was chiseling on me, I didn't complain. I trusted. I accepted. I trusted. And so look at this, it's a gift. But you complained, it's not my fault. And that's why you're this piece of marble. And really that is yoga, a lot of acceptance. It doesn't mean, please know this, it doesn't mean you should be stepped on. In fact, the only time you do get stepped on in life is when you're stubborn. And you don't want to change, and you think you're always right, you will be stepped on. But we're not born to be stepped on. And many people say, oh, my partner uses me, steps on me, because you allow it, because you don't trust the master sculpture to have the force and the courage to tell your partner that you don't like to be stepped on. Simply communication. Also accepting your weakness is a huge thing. We always blame other people, but we need to accept sometimes that we are weak, and that's why people manipulate us. It's not that they want to, we give them permission. Once, twice, 3, 4 times, and after 20 times. I don't know if I told you this story about this lady. She allowed me to tell a story many, many years ago in my early days of practicing being a soul doctor, telling people how to heal problems through going deeply into our soul, which is what we're going to cover a lot of today. What is really important, what is nourishing for our soul, what our soul needs to be whole. And she was telling me that she was 35 years married to this man. And she came and she said, I want to leave him. She must have been around 60. And I said, wow, 35 years is a long time. And what do you expect to do now? I don't know, I want to be free. So I said, okay, so tell me, what's wrong with this man? Is he kind to you? Yes. Is he generous? Yes. Do you have to work? No. He looks after me that way. So what is it wrong? Why do you want to leave him? And she answered me. She said, because when he gets in a bad temper, he starts throwing things all over the house and breaking things. And I can't accept it anymore. I can't take it. I can't take it. I said, well, I wouldn't take that too. I totally understand. And I said, what do you do when he does this? What she told me, she said, I take out the broom and I sweep it up. I said, what? She said, yes, because I'm not supposed to be awful and I don't like to shout. And I said, look, you haven't shouted, but you've suffered for 35 years. And now you want to leave. And I said to her, when he did it the first time, why didn't you say something? Too scared. So The first time you did the same thing, you broomed it up. Yeah. So after 35 years of allowing him to think it was all right to do that, you want to leave him. I said, I'm only asking you because at 60, it's not easy to start again. You put so much effort into this relationship over 35 years. You know, do you really want to leave him because of this? Let's try one last thing. Let's try you communicating with him. I'm scared. What if he shouts? But you're going to leave him anyway. How much more fearful is that? You know, you're going to leave him anyway. So what have you got to lose? Nothing. So we worked on creative visualization where she saw herself with him. This is a really good technique. Please use it if you're frightened. It works every time. The more you use it, the better you become at it. It's visualizing a scene that you're fearful of, but you're approaching that scene with peace, with equanimity of mind, and you're approaching the scene, and you go in front of this person, and you tell them the truth lovingly. You can expect that they will shout back at you, but you take a deep breath and you do not react to the shouting. Now that is hard to do. So you really need to visualize because that shows your inner strength. Not easy. So you must work on this. I did for many years. You people are lucky. You work on it 1 week and you give me beautiful essays, you know. Times are changing. People are learning fast because there's a lot out on the internet. I think all of you souls know that you have a lot to do in your life and you want to get on with it and get away with all this pettiness with relationships and all this nonsense and just get to living, you know. So you're really starting from a good place. So anyway, she visualized it. She sat him down, she told him, she came back the following week. She said he was shocked. He said the same words I told her. Why didn't you ever tell me in 35 years? And now you tell me you want to leave me. I've done everything for you. I've loved you. I take, you know, all the good things he done and say, why didn't you tell me? That was his answer. Because he didn't want her to go. He was really madly in love with her. So so she asked me if he could come in, so they both came in. He said, you know, he really wanted to try. And I told her he's going to make a few mistakes, a long time bad habit. And to accept that it will take him some time. Was she willing to do that? You know, they had up that first talk opened like myriads of doors for both of them. We also found out that he was so frustrated with her. That's put to glass. She wouldn't say what she thought. You see? He used to try and get things out of her. She wouldn't give her own opinion. And yet he could feel there was this light in her, this brightness in her, but she wouldn't talk. And so this one talk opened a myriad of talks. I'm very happy to say to this day they're together. So that's going back nearly 19 years, you know. So life is quite incredible. You never know what it brings. You know, when you have to understand that a lot of our problems are created by ourselves. And this is what yoga gives you. The soul, divine energy, is only love. It only watches. It only gives us the power. That's what it is. It gives us the power to live a beautiful life, you know, heaven on earth, or a miserable existence. That permission we have. Circumstances don't change. We change. You know, circumstances are there for us to learn from. And if we can think, you know, the master, whatever master it is, whoever knows what appearance it takes, this great intelligence is sculpting us. And we all know that. Deep inside of us, we all know that. And how do we know that? How do we know that? How do we know that? Because we look for that love. Because we look for that peace. We look for that joy. We look for that bliss. All human beings look for it. Be it a criminal, a thug, a murderer. They all look for that joy and peace, but they find it the wrong way. So you find it the wrong way, you suffer the consequences. You find it the right way, you enjoy the consequences. Do you see how it works? But the ego is a difficult thing to control because it's full of desires. So with practice and non-attachment, and you tell me, what is non-attachment? What do you experience when you experience non-attachment?
Freedom.
Simple English. Freedom. What do we call it? Moksha? Peace. Nothing is?
Relief.
Relief, actually. Isn't it? When your attachments, there's a saying in the Upanishads, when a mortal releases the noose that strangles, the desires that strangle him like a noose, the mortal becomes immortal. The desires that strangle us, when you even just release it a little, the mortal becomes immortal. Why? Because it's the desires that make you so mortal and takes away your divine source. So even when you release it, it's not saying remove it, it says release it. It's relief. Okay, so practice and non-attachment. And then last week you studied with Patty the koshas, right? What you are made of. What is your being made of? It's not just the physical, but the physical is a really important part of you. So what do you call the physical body? Anamaya kosha. Can you all say it?
Anamaya kosha.
Ana means food. Maya, as you know, means illusion. All this is an illusion. Everything that we are is in illusion. So Anamaya kosha. The second body, which Patty must have told you, was Pranamaya kosha. Your breath body. Your breath body. Breathing is really important. That's why we do so many exercises in yoga to do with breathing. Why? Because the breath, when you're breathing, is the only time you can actually have something physical to control the mind. Your breath. That's why in the English language they tell you, take a deep breath and count to 10. I mean, before you say something, right? Because it's that breath that can save you and make you. And that breath, when people are like, when they have panic attacks, and they call me up and go, oh, no, I've got another panic attack. And all I tell them to do on the phone is, take a deep breath. Breathe out. No. Breathe again. And breathe out. And after 4 or 5 times, Om Shanti, Om Peace. And then there's some equanimity of mind. They're ready to listen. Prior to that, they cannot hear anything you're saying because the panic is too da-da-da-da-da-da, and the mind is too quick. So you calm them down. So you know anybody in your life with panic attacks, simple cure, so simple. And you tell them to repeat it, till it becomes a habit. So after a while, they conquer the panic. Nowadays, really, people take so many drugs when they don't even need to take drugs. And the drugs, we just had a really sad story about one of my students who did the beautiful painting of Gurudev in my house, which I'll bring here one day. And we'll pray for her today. I'd like to dedicate this to Rosa, who took her own life recently in Portugal. And it's really, they've asked for prayers, the family, because she was such a beautiful soul. She's the one who, she'd love me to show this. She sewed this, because my books were tearing when I went to Portugal. She said she's really good with her hands, and she used to see my book. So she said to me, I'll make you a cover, and she did. She made me 2, and the other one with the Gita is beautiful with a hand as well. And she sewed, and she made lots of things, and she painted. Her house was like a museum piece in Beja in Portugal. She organized for me to speak at a university there. Just a loving soul. And when I heard that she had committed suicide, I was extremely shocked and deeply saddened, because I think it was definitely the antidepressants. Her husband had left her. He had an affair last year, but I met her last year, and she was depressed. And I told her, just meditate. But she had no sangha. She had no help. and she was looking after her. She then moved with her sick father, who was extremely negative and didn't help as well. She lived with him for nearly a year, and he always pulled her down, and she had to look after him because there was nobody else. So she lost all her energy. He died in May, and there was nothing for her to do anymore. She lost her creativity. You see, when we go into the lower body or the lower ego or the sadness, creativity stops. That's when you know you're in trouble. So her son called her nearly all the time, but he was also studying and at work. And so she went to the doctor and took antidepressants, which she promised me she'd never do. But I think she was desperate. And apparently it got worse and worse. There was nobody there, so she took more and more and more until she finally took her away. So you see, the antidepressants, if you read some of their precautions or cautionary notes, it says, in these antidepressants, it may affect one to feel suicidal. Have you ever read the contradictions? I've read it. Yeah. Lethargy, vomiting, dizziness, which are signs that she complained about. Vomiting and dizziness every day. And he told her, it's your antidepressants, Mom. Stop, stop, stop. So, but she didn't know what else to do. There was nobody for her to reach out to. So that happened. So I'm telling you this story because that's how the mind was. Somebody so good, somebody so beautiful, somebody so loving. If you don't have control of your mind, this is what happens. And don't give it away. Don't give your control away. This is the yoga science. You are given that creative force. You are given the gifts. So don't give it away. Live with them. Whenever you start to get a little depressed or sad, start to be creative. Go to a Sangha member, please. Sangha member is one who's high thinking. That's the secret. When you are low, don't hide away in a corner. Go to something that makes you joyful, brings you up, inspires you to remind you. Remind you what? I'm
Not this body, I'm not this mind, immortal self I am.
Again.
I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, immortal self I am.
Good, have that. You are mortal, the body dies. Have it in your head constantly. So enjoy your time on earth. And this is dedicated to Rasa today. And so the breath is so important. I'm sure if somebody had told her, breathe, take a few deep breaths, but there was nobody to give her that instruction. And so take a deep breath is really important. And breathing, of course, oxygen, the body needs oxygen. And when you breathe deeply, you take 7 times more oxygen, which is really good for you. It keeps you young, keeps you full of energy. So deep breathing is really important. Next we have which one?
Mano.
Good girl. Mano Maya Kosha. Can you all say it?
Mano.
Mano means mind. This is the mind, the body. See, this is the reason why it's important to know this is so you see what you are made of. It's really important to know what you're made of. It's like, baking a cake. You have to know which ingredients you need. Some flour, some sugar, some water, some eggs, whatever it is, and you mix the batter and then you bake the cake, right? So it's like this. If you know what you're made of, then you know how to bake yourself. Once I got to tell you this, yeah. Our master said when we had the yoga center given to us by government in Gibraltar, 15 years next year, and I told him, I said, Gurudev, I told him, the government's given us premises. Can you believe it? What a miracle. And he said, and I said, guess what? It was an old bakery during the wartime. And he goes, oh, wow, that means you'll all be baked really well. And you'll make delicious bread for the world, And so this is it, the baking. It just reminded me of his words, the baking. And of course, baking suggests heat transformation from dough into bread. So transformation of the self. And of course, when you apply heat, it burns, it doesn't feel nice first. But afterwards, when you're baked, you look beautiful. So all of you, as yoga practitioners, don't worry so much about the burning. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It will happen, guaranteed. You're going to see things about yourself that you don't like. You know, and you're going to resist it and resist it and resist it till you have to let it go. And when you let it go, you'll say, why not let it go so much earlier? But the burning is part of the process, okay? And while you are burning, you'll go through what I call ego sickness. Ego sickness is a feeling at the pit of your stomach. Oh, you know you did something horrible and yucky. And you feel it right here at the pit of your stomach. It just feels bad. It'll pass. Let it pass. It's a recognition of something that is purging and leaving you. Better that it leaves you. You have to purge that negativity out, otherwise it stays in your body. So you see, we're really incredible instruments, incredibly designed on all levels. So that's Manomaya Kosha. The next one is your intellect, which is called Vijnana. Can you all say it? Vijnana. Vijnana Maya Kosha. Vijnana Maya Kosha. Your intellect. Where your intellect has to be fed. It has to be fed so that your judgments are good. Things will come to the mind. Thoughts will come to the mind. The intellect is our great gift. But an ignorant intellect will be your downfall. So make sure that you study. That's why we're going to go into that later. Svadhyaya. You learn about yourself. So you broaden the intellect. You broaden your intellect so you can make great decisions with your mind. All right? So that's Vijnana Maya Kosha. And finally, we have the final composition, which is us as a human being, which is called Ananda. Ananda means bliss. Bliss body. We were born to be in bliss. While we're living, I would say it's too late when you die. It's really too late. While you're living, that's why we have that bliss body. All these practices are used. That's why we do Hatha Yoga. That's why for the Annamaya Kosha. And Hatha Yoga also has pranayama. Hatha Yoga also, at the end, we do the mind with the meditation and the intellect. And we go through the whole process till at the end, when you finish, you should be in bliss. And that's the idea of the whole asana series. It should take you to a place of bliss. When people finish Hatha Yoga class, they should feel like that, yes.
Last week we couldn't understand the difference in bliss between when you have deep sleep and you can feel bliss then, and meditation. And we were all a bit like that, so I need to ask you.
Okay, good question. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve. Okay, deep sleep is different from meditation. Let me explain it to you. We talk about four stages. Waking stage. Then you have dreaming stage. Everybody dreams, right? Mm-hmm. Then you have deep sleep stage. And then finally, you have a state where the English language does not have or describe, and it's called the Turiya state, T-U-R-I-Y-A, Turiya state. And this state is being awake while you're asleep. Hard to describe it, but you're awake. There is a consciousness, there's an energy moving, but you are sleeping, but you're conscious. There's not a thought, but there's consciousness. Actually, today, somebody came after our Hatha class in deep relaxation. She said, wow, I don't know how to explain it, Nalanie, but today, for the first time, I was like sleeping but awake. I said, you got it. I said, do you know how many people want to get to that state? And I just feel now that I've slept for hours. So, well, that's the idea of deep relaxation. If you can get into that state, you will need very little sleep in your life.
Is that comparable to the meditative state.
Then that is the meditative
Okay.
state.
So
That
you
is
can-
the meditative state.
Sitting meditation or laying meditation?
Any meditation. Meditation can be anywhere. Absorption is meditation. But it's a meditation state and not samadhi.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, we talked about that
It's-
as well. I was
yeah.
confused about
It is a meditative state, but not
So you're like
Very
focusing
sorry,
on your third
nobody
eye,
ever calls.
basically.
You don't need to think so much about third eye, not third eye. And third eye is really a description, really, of our senses that we don't use. It's a description, really. The third eye is really. They say it's situated here because if you go straight into your head like this in the middle somewhere is your pineal gland. That gland is associated with extrasensory perception, normal things that we miss out, many things we are able to experience and know that we are not able to get in touch. So really when they say the third eye is being in touch with that pineal gland, that takes us to a spiritual level. Doctors do not know too much about the gland. It's used, they now know it's for growth, but it's a lot more. It's used for a lot more things. And this is why we say third eye. Third eye also represents, we see many times when we're so materialistic, we see only what is. We don't see beyond. With yoga, you need to see beyond. You will learn after the end of this course that you don't just look at the words people are speaking. You go beyond to the essence of what they're really saying. Do you understand what I'm saying? Sometimes people are speaking and you're listening to the words, yes, very good, Nalanie, very good. Rubbish, they're thinking horrible thoughts behind that. They go, oh, I shouldn't think bad thoughts, but you are not thinking bad thoughts, but recognize if somebody else is. Why should you recognize it? Protection, it's a gift. It's not meant to judge anybody. We're not here to judge. All these gifts are given to us as a protection. As a protection, don't go there. Don't pretend. They're saying nice things, but they're thinking horrible thoughts. Why would you want to go in that energy? How is it going to benefit that person and you? Because when they come to you, they're going to lie to you. You think you're helping them by being nice? No. Stay away. Discrimination. And this is what we're coming to today in our talk. Any more questions on the koshas? Did I answer your question? Okay, brilliant. Then we can continue.
Do you mind, repeating the 4 states of mind? It's the awake and...
It's the awake. Is it and your phone?
I'm trying to turn it off. Died finally. It's a new one, I don't know this.
Don't worry about it. These things happen. It's awake state, dreaming, deep sleep, and awake while sleeping. Turiya state, meditative state. Meditative state. Turiya, T-U-R-I-Y-A.
Nalanie, a quick question. Sometimes I feel I'm awake, at night, and then I suddenly notice that I can hear my body breathe. But it's sort of like it's not really me.
Correct. Absolutely correct. It's not really you. You're alone. Did I tell you?
Okay.
You're
But
alone to you.
in
You're
what
your
state
terror.
is that?
Would be like Turiya state.
Pardon?
Turiya state, the 4th state. You're observing. You become the witness. There's nothing. There's no judgment. It's just witnessing. Just witnessing.
It's very neutral. There's
It's
no good feeling or anything. It's just
neutral.
okay.
Nalanie, we also touched last week was the bliss sheath or
Sheer.
kosha is also not the essence.
No.
The bliss
still-
is
it's
also
still not.
covering the essence.
Yes, correct. But as you go towards the bliss, you get closer. You get very close to the essence. You're very close.
And what is it when you're asleep and you wake up in the middle of the night and you feel love, peace, and the weight is taken off for you, and it's like a
That is the result of your practices. That is the gift of knowing that you're with the Atman, that you're with what people call God or divine energy or consciousness. That is the gift of all the practices that you have done. And that's just how you feel. Bliss. You are in your bliss body. You just answered her question. You live in the bliss body.
In the union, huh?
Yes.
That's what I felt last night.
Yeah. Yeah, lovely. That's what everybody should feel every night. And that's what everybody should feel. But that shows a very clear mind. Well, you just lost your husband 16 weeks ago. And I think you've done an amazing job. And obviously, you're getting your rewards. The gods are giving you your rewards. And that's really what you do get. In your pain, you get these wonderful, I always say, life can be really hard, and sometimes there are always thorns. But if you just keep at it and not complain so much and just get through it, get through the difficult times, get through it, then you see the rose at the end. It's a beautiful rose. And that's exactly
I smelled it yesterday.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the
It's
signs.
true. I was looking around to see if there was any roses or jasmine, or there was none.
That is a sign of deep practice, deep contemplation, and those are one of the gifts. Master Shivananda tells us there are many, many gifts for a yogi on the path. You'll hear celestial music, you will feel these blissful energies, you will smell the smell of roses, you'll hear drumming from a distance. All these are wonderful, wonderful signs. Yeah. Pardon me?
I smelled Old Spice the other day. I just woken up and my father used to use Old Spice. Oh, great.
Maybe he came to say hello.
I don't know. Where's it coming from?
Maybe he came to say hello. Who knows? Yeah? Maybe why should you smell it? So these are personal messages we all get. And that's why I say be your best medium, be your best doctor, be your best things. You don't need anybody to tell you these things because they may be getting it from a different channel. You get it direct, Dad's visiting. You know certain things and you know. And it's much better because it's a personal experience. I'm not saying anything else is wrong. I'm just saying, isn't it nice to have the control in your hands? But that's the gift we're given. And Sri Patanjali tells us, we won't be studying book 3, but as you progress, you will develop a lot of things, clairaudience, clairvoyance, you will. Because it's part of, because we're not using it when we become very material. We are soul, we are energy. And Sri Patanjali tells us these are great gifts for us to protect ourselves, to share with others, in a sense of serving, uplifting the world. But those who use those gifts to gain personal gain, to try to use it for their own ego or for their own fame, be careful. And there's a story about this. There was this Gurudev tells it, I don't know in which of the books. There was this great monk studied with his master for many, many years. And of course, after many years of developing himself, he gained the gift of transforming objects. And if you read philosophy, John Locke and all these things, everything's made of atoms. Star Wars, was it Star Trek? Not too far away, atoms, molecules can be transformed. So what he did was he started transforming different things and creating money and wow, when he, doing different things, creating miracles out of his hands. And so he started to get really egotistical. And all over the ashram, look what I can do. Oh, I want money. I give you money. And he would give people money. So his master called him in one day and he said, don't do this. Don't do this anymore. You are using it for your own needs. You can use it to help somebody, but don't do this. And because it's your ego that is being, enlarged and not your soul. But he thought his master was jealous of him. So he left the ashram. And the master said, go. Very happy to see him go. Go. Of course, he went out in the world. And his magic, everybody wanted money. Oh, people love miracles, physical miracles. They just get so fascinated. So they called to see him. But every person that came to see him wanted something from him. My business is bad, or this is bad, but all to do with material. And after a while, he got a bit exhausted. Because everybody just, I want this. And he became extremely famous. So everybody from all over the world, all over India came to see him. But he had no more peace. He felt like he was being strangled. He had to keep his reputation. He was constantly working. And then he yearned for the quiet time that he had experienced before he had this gift. He was in the ashram, he was peaceful, he was happy, and now suddenly all people want, I want, that's all he heard all day. And he became so miserable, so he finally just said to all of them, you know, you just keep wanting, I don't do anything for your soul. He actually told his clients, I don't do anything for your soul, I just make you more greedy. I don't teach you how to look after yourselves like my master taught me. He was so ashamed, he dropped everything and he went back to the ashram asking his master forgiveness. And if he could just come back and have the peace that he had before he got so famous. And of course you see it in life, right? All these famous people, so much fame, so much fame, so much fame. And what happens? The moment they're criticized, and they will be, because everybody with fame will be criticized, you can guarantee it, but they have no spiritual solidity. So what happens to them? What happens to them? They have no spiritual solidity. So they're influenced. They break. They fall apart. They take drugs, or they go to alcohol, they go to rehab. How many times have we read it? But all these people with some spiritual stability, you know, the fame would not get to them. They just do the job for the way it is. Enjoy the fame, enjoy the tabloids, writing all horrible things. Part of the job. It's part of the job. If you're famous, people are longing to put you down. It's part of the world. What can you do? It is the way the world runs. And if you have a spiritual stability, you're not frightened. But if you don't, my God, do you suffer so horrible? You know, we've seen Princess Diana, she suffered so much in her life. When she finally became strong and spoke out for, you know, different things, again, creativity, using her selfishness, was going into sorrow, into serving the world, she started to get better and better and better, and then her life was taken. But she was a great example, and how she healed herself through her service, through her giving, you know. Because really what she was asking for was love, nothing more. But in order to receive it, she needed to give it. She needed to give it. In order to receive anything, you need to give it first. So, I hope I've answered all your questions. Shall we continue with our work today? Everybody clear about the koshas? You need to know them well, only for your own sake, and also maybe you'll be asked in the exam. Every year I threaten to change the exam, it's too easy. It's way too easy. You people are so much capable of doing much more. So now I'd like you all to open your books and turn to book 2, which is actually to page 124, and you will come to Sutra 28 of book 2. There is a reason why we skip and do the syllabus like that. Okay? The syllabus was put together by our master, and I think he was very wise. So, because he felt a lot of this is, you know, this is the most important. If you do nothing in your life, no meditation, nothing, if you just practice this, your life will change by itself. Fear will leave you, anger will leave you. The thing is, everybody talks, but nobody really practices all the 8 limbs. They miss something out. You need to practice your 8 limbs, at least for a practitioner.
Without a break and with all our hearts.
Good. Everybody,
Without a
how do you practice?
Without a break. Without a break.
For 8. Yeah. I use heart. They use earnestness. Yeah. I think you have to love something with all your love. I think when you love it, you become inspired. You know, people look at meditation, oh, I have to sit 15 minutes in meditation. Eeks, what a horrible way. Why do you have to? You know? You don't want to be, don't bother then. I prefer you not to meditate. You want to meditate, I'm excited to know my soul. This is the bhakti. Somebody wrote in their essay that they felt the element was missing, that was love in their work. And this is bhakti, you know, all the great saints and sages. Bhakti yoga means building the love up in yourself. They say bhakti yoga is the shortcut to
And we all love
self-realization.
shortcuts, don't we?
Yes. It's the shortcut. Because when you can love or serve or love or serve, or including yourself, you experience a great connection with the divine. A great connection with the divine. So this is really important in your practice. You know, many masters say 2 hours, 3 hours, but I find people in this world today find that too difficult because this is a different era. Don't forget when these books were written, it was a different era. There was so much silence all around them. It was so much easier. So, but today, the difference is there is so much more knowledge out. There is. You have to learn to be discriminative about what you take in and what you leave out. Just keep remembering, blessed are the pure, they shall see God. And what is purity? Neutrality. When you get up in neutrality, already you experience many things, many things. So this is what you have to keep remembering, keep remembering, keep remembering. I'm sorry, you go out there egotistical, I'll bring you right down. In 28 it says, can somebody read it for me?
By the practice of the limbs of yoga, the impurities dwindle away and there dawns the light of wisdom, leading to discriminative discernment.
By the practice of the 8 limbs of yoga. 8 limbs, Ashtanga. This is the real meaning of Ashtanga. Ashtanga has now been used in many ways with commercial and non-commercial Hatha yoga classes. Both, I mean, some are very deep and wonderful Ashtanga yoga, some are used just for an exercise, but the real Ashtanga, it means 8 limbs, alright? By the practice of the 8 limbs, which we're going to go to right now, in a few seconds, the impurities dwindle away. I love this. When I read this sutra, I thought, wow, it's exactly like Master Shivananda said, it's exactly like Gurudev said. You practice, you don't have to worry too much. I'm not good enough, like people, so much nonsense, not, and this and that. Stop all that nonsense. You know, you are soul, you are spirit. Don't go into that chatter. Leave it. That's the human ego that feels sorry for itself or that clings to feeling sorry for itself all the time. Drop the chatter. Just practice the 8 limbs of yoga. Then whatever is impure will leave you. They will dwindle. Do you hear the word dwindle? Can you all say it? Dwindle?
Dwindle.
What does the word dwindle imply to you? Slowly. It doesn't. I'm awful, Nellie. I'm a bad person. Oh, I shouldn't think bad today. You can't do that. Your mind won't do that. You put too much stress on yourself. I can't achieve this. I can't achieve peace. It doesn't like that. Just do the work and it will happen by itself. By itself. Dwindle away. And there dawns the light of wisdom. So when all those impurities go away, what dawns? There dawns the light that's inside of you, of wisdom. And that light carries wisdom. How do you know that? Look at people like Ramana Maharishi, the great Indian saint. He was an illiterate and he achieved samadhi. Because why? When the impurities dwindle away, what happens? You are soul, you are light. That just shine. And that light gives you great knowledge. Look at some of the, old stories you read of the old grannies, right? And the mothers, they just look after their families and love what they're doing, and they grow to be so wise. Many of them never went to school, they never did much study, but because they just had, respect all, love all, respect all, love all. And they did it with so much love. That's such wisdom. The American native Indians, how did they get the wisdom? Just practicing all these things, and then the light is already there. So you're just uncovering. In yoga, we are uncovering, we are cleaning up the muck. In this day and age, we need a good eraser. Sometimes you have to apply a lot of rajas, a lot of energy. We will talk about the gunas soon. The energy to erase. In the beginning, you have to use a lot of energy. You cannot be lazy. In the beginning, I was working like non-stop. Once you achieve it, you don't need to do any of it. You don't need to meditate because you're already in meditation. You don't need to do asanas unless you want to keep up the body health. You don't need to do anything in the end if you achieve that. But in the beginning, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, because it is really up to you, your practices. It's going to help you so much. And I got really excited when I read that. And I said, I want to test this. I want to be clever. I want to have wisdom while I'm living. That's why I have a mind. That's why I have an intellect. Otherwise I wouldn't have it. I'm using my mind and intellect incorrectly because I'm feeling a victim. The moment you're feeling poor me syndrome, I'm not good enough, you are in victim mode. Recognize it, recognize it. Change the chin. Poor me syndrome. What's so poor about you? You're not poor, you're beautiful, you're wonderful. Oh, sometimes I feel like screaming. Wake up, people! So something has happened bad to you. Look at the horrible things to happen to other people. Horrible things. Horrible things. We're so blessed. So wake up, wake up, wake up. And there's so much work to do. Why would you want to feel sorry for yourself? Don't spend time feeling sorry for yourself. Be grateful that you have. I just feel so grateful that we are all in this room, born with the desire to be better. Don't you think that's such a lucky thing to be born with? Not everybody wants this. Not everybody wants to reach higher goals. There's a story that you're going to find a little shocking, but it's a good story. As Lord Krishna, when he was on earth, he was walking with his great saint, Narada. Narada, in our Hindu mythology or Hindu yogic sciences, he's always used a lot as this higher being who comes to earth constantly to learn about why mankind keeps getting stuck. And we don't see the higher picture. So he's traveling with Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna, they're really hungry. Lord Krishna takes them to earth. And they're really, really hungry. They've been traveling a long time. And they come to this big palace. And they go, oh my God, there's a king in here. So they knock, and Narada says, please, 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 we're really, really hungry. We've been traveling long. And I'm traveling with Krishna, a great saint. Please, can you give us some food? So the god goes and tells the king. And he invites them in. He said, you're a saint. If you're a saint, how come you're not eating food? How come you're hungry? You shouldn't be hungry. You can't be a saint. So he says, I think you are greedy people and you are just lazy. So he tells them to sit down. He orders a feast for himself. And he said, watch me eat now and starve. So Krishna, when he finishes eating, he bows and he says, can we leave? And the king laughs at them and they leave. And when they leave, Krishna turns around and says, may you always have this wealth. And Narada says, why? Why are you wishing this man wealth? And all this, look what he's done to us. He doesn't know how to use it. He said, the longer he's involved in it, the less he'll feel his soul. He can never be happy. He needs to learn humility first. And the only way he's going to learn humility, he's going to be so sick of his wealth. Yeah? So tired of it. And realize that it gives him no joy. So then they go to another house, looking for food, and they see this hut with a cow outside. And they meet this wonderful old man, and they go and say, can you feed us? And he goes, you Krishna, are you Krishna? light around you. You, Krishna, come and visit me. Krishna, Krishna, can you help me? I'm so old. I am so old. My family have all died. I want to die. I want to leave this earth. But you know, I have this one cow. And who's going to look after my cow? And I can't go without this cow. Who's going to love it? He said, this cow is the one that's giving you the milk. So he gives Krishna and Narada this milk, and they really enjoy it. They thank the farmer. They thank the farmer. And Krishna leaves, and he goes, may the cow die. And Narada goes, why have you done this? He loves his cow. He said, the poor man can hardly walk, can hardly move. He's only here because of the cow. If the cow goes, his last attachment, he'll die the next day. And he'll find his joy. He's done so much good that he will go to a very good place. So that's the story. So, you never know, huh? So, and then it says, there dawns the light of wisdom leading to discriminative discernment. I used this word early on. Can you all say it? Discriminative discernment. That means you will be able to see things from a neutral point of view. Okay? You know the story of King Solomon. You know the story of King Solomon, right? There's two women. They have children on the same night, babies on the same night. One of the babies dies and the other one lives. So the neighbor, being jealous, steals the baby while they're asleep and takes it to her house. And so the mother's crying. So they go to King Solomon. In those days, they didn't have judges like we have today. Really simple. Go to the king. And he was known to have a lot of wisdom. So they're both crying over the baby. But of course, he doesn't know which woman the child belonged to. So the one who had stolen the baby said, it's mine, she's lost hers and she wants my child. So he thought, okay, I've got a brilliant idea. He said this really quickly. Why don't we split it in half, baby in half, and give you half each? And the one mother said, yes, of course, without thinking. And then he said, okay, it's definitely your baby. Not your baby, it's the other one. Because a real mother would never even allow that word to be said. So neutrality. You can see things clearly. You can judge the sin and not the sinner. And this kind of thinking gives you a lot of freedom. Many spiritual people feel very bad. They go, oh, I feel so bad, I thought badly of this person. So I said, did you think badly of this person because you don't like the person? Because you wanted something bad for that person? No. Why did you think badly of this person? Because the person did this. And I said, well, then think badly of what they did. But it doesn't make you bad to think badly. If you judge this person just because they did this action as a bad person, then you have to think again. But if you can think the action is bad and correct the action, you have to take action to correct the action. And not keep the guilt on your head. But if you condemn the person, then you're taking it personally. Do you see what I'm saying? You take it to then you're not judging the sinner, you're getting too involved, and you start talking about it, and you're getting too involved. Am I judging? Then you know you are 100% judging. When you are doing that, am I judging? No, if you are not judging, you won't even have that argument in your mind. It will be so clear, discriminative discernment. You won't even play with, am I judging, am I not judging? It won't even come to your mind. However, if you come from such a neutral place, people may think you are judging by your action. And you also have to detach from what people will tell you. Because they will tell you, oh, you are judging. You are, let them think what they like. You have to come from a neutral place to be at peace with you. Get it? You have to come from a neutral place. If they can't see that you're coming from a neutral place, it's okay. If you are not sure whether you are, then take what they say, go home and contemplate yourself. Where is my motive? What is my motive? What am I feeling? So then to contemplate yourself. And then once you make a decision, finish, and drop it. Are you understanding? It's taking the teachings really deep. So many people become spiritual and they become holier than thou. They know everything. They become holy, holy, holy. I just made up something in Portugal and Ula said, write it down. So I wrote it down. I said, so much holiness, so much holiness, so much holiness. Be careful you don't fall into a hole. Because you can. Haven't you seen them? So many people think they're so holy. Suddenly they've forgotten that we all come from the same. It's, I'm superior to you. I never heard my master ever say that. Did you ever hear Gurudev say it once? You know, and I see so many of these spiritual people and teachers act as if they're superior, and then their students come, oh, Nalanie, I'm not good enough. So, do you know Ramana Maharishi was illiterate? Remember that. Don't worry so much. This is manipulation. They don't want it. Don't we say in yoga everyone is divine? Haven't you heard it? Everybody's at a different stage. Don't get caught up with all this nonsense. Because many yoga teachers come to me after a yoga conference. Instead of coming back happier, they come back miserable. I go, why do you go? Because they come back feeling not good enough, they don't know this mantra or that mantra, or they haven't got this, and they weren't taught this, and they're really dumb, and can they learn more mantras? And I say, you think that's going to make you holy? Do you know how many people go to church and light candles every day? Do you think that makes you holy? Mantras are there to help elevate your mind. Yes, they're a protection. But if you don't do the rest, if you don't practice the 8 limbs of yoga, then forget it. Nothing will work. And this is really the secret. By the practice of 8 limbs of yoga, discriminative discernment will come to you. Wisdom will come to you. And this is why I love teaching the Raj Yoga course, even though every time I teach it, so I'm not doing it again. Because it's really nice to see people get their own power back. And do things, and do wonderful things, you know. Thanks for running that charity event. Yeah? For a person who told me 2 years ago she's not doing anything, she's not using her creativity, and suddenly
When you were just talking about the mode, I was thinking, yes, that's my mode. Yeah, I'm not good enough, I'm not this and that.
But look what the change you made this last 2 weeks. You've taken your power and you created, she makes beautiful things. And she goes, we will come for 2 years, and now it's over. Isn't it nice?
Yeah.
But see, take your
That's
time.
nonsense now. It's
Yeah,
like-
but you know, it's so nice to see. Isn't it nice to see? It makes me so happy. And you really have to learn this Sanskrit and English by heart. Okay? So this is the working part. Yama. Yama. You all say yama.
Yama.
Which means abstinence. Abstinence, to keep away from, And yama will be described, there are 5 yamas. And we will describe it in a while. I'd just like you to go through it first. To keep away, one of them is violence, so to keep away from violence, right? So that's what it means. Niyama. Observances, things you have to observe in your life. Things you have to practice being, doing, so that you can achieve the highest. Yama, niyama, 5 yamas, 5 niyamas. I like the 10 commandments. They are the highest spiritual laws you can find. They are the laws of the universe. Every universe has some kind of structure so that we don't go into chaos. And these laws are the laws of the universe. Without observing these laws, we sometimes go into chaos of our own mind. It doesn't make you bad. Nobody punishes you when you break these laws. You suffer. Start to keep understanding this. There is no God saying, you're punished, you're good, you're bad. You do something that's not so good, you eventually will suffer for it. So, yama niyama are like your 10 commandments. Can you say it again? Head up. Yama. Yeah. Okay. Yama.
Yama?
Yama is?
Abstinence.
Niyama is?
Observance.
Okay, very good. And then we go to number 3, asana.
Asana.
You all know asana postures, the yoga postures. Why? Because if you have a strong, healthy body, and the asanas help you also to get in touch with your pranamaya kosha, your anamaya kosha, and it brings all the koshas into one. So hatha is a very important ingredient. This is why we do the asanas. We do the asanas so we can go deep in. We don't do asanas that's why we don't call them exercises. We call them postures. These postures work on your internal system, your endocrine system, which is responsible for the hormonal production in your body. So of course some people say, oh Nalanie, too many hormones. Male, too much testosterone, I have from both sides, it's not just one side. So, asana helps to balance, bring it into balance, the overflow of energy, the emotional energy, the physical energy, using the body, the tool we have, the temple, keeping that clean. That's asanas, okay? So that's why Hatha Yoga is so important. And during this course, do all of you in this class do Hatha Yoga?
No.
How many don't? You're only one, two. Yes?
None don't.
Yeah, how many don't? Okay, 3. My advice is start. Even if you get a home video, I know you travel a lot, you fly all over the world.
Well, no, I just tend to do sports more so than...
Oh, that's pretty.
So I need to obviously
calm down, because sports does this.
Yes, I know.
And someone too much endorphins make you happy, do wild things, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So you also need to balance that. Asanas takes the sport and because many people, when they do too much sport, what happens to them? All their senses become more, they need more.
Yeah.
It is like that, isn't it? This is why you got all these bodybuilders with taking all these cortisone, and which is not so good for them. Again, causes the mind and everything else to be imbalanced. So everything is balance.
Attachments as well.
Yeah, attachment to looking good, to looking beautiful, and then one day you're all going to get old and be real clean. Welcome to the real world. Oh, you can have a lot of Botox, but that looks quite bad. As you get older, it really doesn't look nice. Have you seen that? I remember when I used to be in high fashion in the old days, and we used to do lots of fashion shows up in Marbella, and some of my clients were like, their face was stretched out, the neck was old, and the hands were old. And it doesn't go. You might as well get old gracefully, Because it's all what in sync. Really in sync, harmony. Because it doesn't, And then you're always constantly worried how you look, and there's no freedom. There's no joy. Enjoy your body. It's here to enjoy it too, right? So thanks for mentioning sport. That was really a good one because I always forget to mention it. But sport is wonderful. Better to do that than to do nothing.
Yeah,
Definitely better. I love sports, and many people that can't do hatha actually, I send them to sports because I can't do hatha, so I send them to the gym. I actually prefer hatha. But sometimes people don't want in this. They find it too, they can't get there, too soft for them. So I tell them go to sports first, and when you know the gunas, you know why I do that. Do a lot of sports, and then after a while, I always see that they start to say, maybe we need something more to balance us,
But I think as my mind is getting a bit more steady, should I say, I do want to kind of bring it down as well, do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I do think
good.
now I'm actually being drawn to yoga as opposed to just like doing it.
Yeah,
I really
wonderful.
want to do it now.
Yeah, do you see?
Yeah.
That's the feeling. Yeah. So when people say they don't want, I don't mind. But you introduce them to one thing that takes them closer, and by itself, by the study, the impurities dwindle away, and you'll be drawn to it. Why are you drawn to the language of the soul? Because you are the soul. What other reason would you want to be drawn to it? Why does everybody get drawn to it? Because you are soul. That's why. That's the answer. When people say, how do you know? And I go, how do you know everyone? Why does everybody want to be happy? Why does everybody want peace? Can you answer that question? So one day, normally keeps them quiet for a little while. Anyway, I don't debate. If they want to debate, I go, I accept your reasoning. This is what I know, this is what you know, fine. Don't try to convince me, I won't try to convince you, much easier. I do have lots of fun. I don't debate. It makes me laugh. I check by the peace a person has. That's how I check. You know, if a person has peace, then I know they know. Do you know there's that sense, that strong sense of solidity that makes you feel so comfortable in their presence? Because they have that peace, you feel so solid and so comfortable. It's, you know, when I used to be next to Gurudev, it felt like a blanket of love being cuddling me, you know? That safety, that I felt so safe. And that's when you know the person has peace, when you feel so safe. They're not going to manipulate you or hurt you, but want the best for you. And that's the type of energy we want to be around, right? So that's asana. The next one is pranayama. Can you all say it? Pranayama. So let's repeat. Yama, yama, asana, pranayama. Okay, now yama niyama is with the outside world, right? How we act towards the outside world. Asana is our body going inwards, and pranayama even going deeper into pranamaya kosha now, right? Going even deeper. As I explained, prana is the life force. Life force. They call it parashakti. Parashakti is supreme strength, supreme energy in prana. You know, and many of us walk around without any life force, tamas, very tired, you know, yeah, because that's no life force. So when people have no life force within them, I say, please do some pranayama. You see, learn to be doctors yourself, spiritual doctors. I tell them, do Nadi Sudhi every day, 5 minutes before breakfast, 5 minutes before lunch, 5 minutes before dinner. Just that one breath. You see how they change in 2 or 3 days. Then you introduce them a little more till they get the life force in. And if they can't understand pranayama because I'm not into yoga, or this is too Hindu for me, or whatever they say, then you teach them to go out in the garden every morning and just take simple deep breaths. Always speak their language. Our master used to say, in Rome, do as the Romans. Otherwise you make people feel inferior. Never make anybody feel less. Then merely pass to the one truth. So if they really feel rejecting yoga, no problem, doesn't matter. Tell them, okay, and in the morning, go outside, take a few deep breaths, you know. Be gentle and kind with people. Introduce them to the kindness of their soul. Introduce them, you know, and go down to that level. Never make people feel lower than you. Never degrade anyone. In that sense. You only have permission to do that when a person is your equal and they try to put you down. You don't put them down, but you tell them this is nonsense. But for newcomers, always, it's, you know, treated, our master used to say, newcomers are like seedlings. You know, seedlings. And when a little tree grows, initially, what do you have around it? You protect it with sticks, don't you? Mary should know, she's expert gardener we have here. She works with nature a lot. And seedlings. And then you protect them the early years. And once the trunk gets strong, you remove the sticks. And it grows strong. So, also with new people to yoga, most of you people here are yoga teachers or serving others in your work or working with people. You know, even in a business, when new people come, introduce them, show them the ropes, give them all the time you have till they become good at their work. Many people get new staff and they don't spend the time training them or telling them what is needed of them. Just go, do this, do this, do this. You don't bring the best out. Treat them like, you know, oh, well, I'm the boss, I don't talk to you. That's not teamwork. As a good boss, you take your subordinates or your staff, and you train them and you invest in them and you teach them, and they grow beautifully to love you, and they'll work well with you. And this should be introduced more and more into businesses, and businesses will be much more successful. And this is one of the methods that we use. I don't know how we got from breath control to that, but we did. So pranayama.
With energy.
Energy, thank you. Energy. So do pranayama every day. Really, if you don't want to do any other practice, physical practice, do pranayama. It's wonderful. If we have the last 7 minutes, I will do some pranayama with you. We still have time. Time is stretching for us. So the next one is pratyahara. Can you say it? Pratyahara. Again? Pratyahara. And this is sense control. Now this is going again even a little deeper. Your senses. What are your senses? Sight, smell, touch, taste, hearing, right? Your senses are always going out. People calling us, things to do. We see something we like. Oh, I'm starving. I have to have it right now, And our senses control us. We see a beautiful car. You're hungry. You're always hungry. Next time I bring some biscuits. I'm sorry. Do you want to eat something? Shall we do something?
No, they're not saying I'm hungry now, but they're saying that's what I'm like normally.
Because he's so skinny too. His body probably burns it out.
I don't feed him enough.
Maybe he needs to feed you and then he'll feel full. Could you think that could be the answer?
That's a good idea.
I'll make a breakfast anyway.
Oh, good. That's the best meal to be fed anyway, first thing in the morning. You can do practices while he makes breakfast. Wonderful. So, sense withdrawal. And most people don't realize that, the senses are always, they're there for us to enjoy the world. But not for the world to overtake us, not for things to be in charge of us. You know how many people I've met throughout my life? I have to have a big house, I have to have this, I have to have that, having goals is brilliant. Why? I think all people should have nice homes and everybody should be comfortable. Having a goal is great. Because if you're self-sufficient, I always say you can look after everybody. But if you're constantly begging and you don't have a job and you don't have a home, you're always begging. You never get anywhere in life. Always begging. Make yourself independent. All the masters say, make yourself self-sufficient, independent. Always. They say don't be needy. So, pratyahara, doesn't mean you don't have to have desires. You can have desires. Just don't let the desires control you. That's the difference, right? You can have anything you want, but don't let it get the better of you. If I don't have it, no, I'm going to be miserable. No. You're happy. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not dying. You're not starving. You're fine. That's only an extra. If you get it, I wish you got it. It's a bonus. Take it as a bonus, not a necessity. What is really necessary is your plate of food, a home to live in. That is necessary, and that is responsible to look after that. So pratyahara is controlling the senses, and of course that has a lot to do with addictions, all kinds of addictions that we are facing today, emotional addictions, food addictions, drug addictions, all kinds of addictions. Chocolate addiction, all included right here in pratyahara. And learn to heal yourself of your addictions. That's sense control. And then we go to the next one. Dharana. Can you say it?
Dharana.
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 Concentration. So now that your senses are not driving you crazy, and you're sitting there trying to meditate, well, I'm really hungry, I need to eat, oh, I need to go, I have to do this today, oh, I've got to wear my new outfit today, oh, I have to go here, and it's not, all those things are not driving you nuts. You sit down and you start to concentrate. You concentrate on one thing, and we will go into that next week, concentration, meditation, how to do that. And you focus, learn to concentrate. We did Satak the other time, which is focusing on a handle with your eyes open. Focus, focus, nothing else, just focus, focus. So you learn how to concentrate. In the beginning, when you start, concentration is very difficult. Your mind will go all over the place. Learn not to worry about that. The mind will go through all of the thought processes. When it does its thing, watch it. And when you see that it's going, like, for example, you see a rose. Maybe let's say you're meditating on a rose, and suddenly, oh, I remembered that last Valentine I got this rose, and oh, but my boyfriend wasn't good enough. And when you see it rolling, you stop it and bring it back to rose. That's what you're meditating on. But instead of going outside with all your stuff, you look at the actual rose, and you look at the petals, like you do in your photographs. Right, same thing. That's really, she does photographic, she photographs plants and flowers, beautiful. And so she finds hearts in them and different things in them. So you focus on the flower, the rose, and you notice all the colors. Then you actually, after a while, you can even smell it. And then after a while, you even can feel the texture of it, not even touching it. You can feel the texture of the rose. And that's when you're really going deep into understanding nature and understanding life force. And then you see how the rose comes into bloom. So instead of spending time thinking all the da stuff, you are spending time in discovering the source of all nature. Big difference. Do you see? One is creative thinking, and the other one is destructive thinking. So don't fight with your mind, just guide it. Eventually, when you learn to use your mantra, then you do the same. When the thoughts go away, Om Namah Shivaya. Thoughts go away, Om Namah Shivaya. Thoughts go away, Om Namah Shivaya. It's just neutrality, bringing you back to neutrality. That's concentration. Don't worry, it takes a long time to develop. I think it took me 5 years. So don't feel bad about it. And then we have dhyana. Can you all say dhyana?
Yeah.
Dhyana. Meditation. Meditation. A meditation we talked about earlier. So you all know that's what we try. From concentration, we become absorbed in that one. So no longer is the rose and me separate. I become the rose. I become the rose. No longer is the flame and me separate. I become the flame. I feel the warmth of the flame. I become the flame. There's no more separation. It just becomes one. You're not thinking I and the flame, because you're so focused on it. And Gurudev always uses the example of Einstein. You know, his job was, scientists do this, they focus on one thing, concentrate. And Einstein's work was splitting the atom. So he focused and focused and focused and focused, and he got to the secret of the atom. And his sadness was, he got the secret of the energy and what you could do with this nuclear power, from the nucleus. And he said his sadness was that mankind used it for the wrong reasons. It was discovered for us to use it for the highest good. That's why yama niyama is so important. We can discover many things in our life just by concentration. You can be the best doctor, you can be the best of everything you in your life by concentration and meditation. And in book 3, Sri Patanjali tells us what gifts we can get. But it warns you, careful how you use the gift. If it's for the benefit of the world, wonderful. If it's to get your own fame or greed, terrible. Which is what most of, politicians do, unfortunately. They've forgotten their job is to look after their people. To look after this world. When things go bad, what do? Austere measures. Who suffers? Yeah, right. Why don't they say, let's all go in together, let's make the taxes lower, let's all work with each other, let's make these bank loans available to everyone so that they can, again, turn the money. But no, take more from people. It's like the old, when you used to, I don't know if you ever studied history, in the old days the landlords used to take all the money from the tenants, all of it. And they all started to rebel. And what is happening now? Same thing. What's the difference in fancy words? All covered up in fancy words. And we need to change that. We need to, politicians need to have their light. So that's why we say pray that they see the light. And think about what their responsibility is. Not their pockets or not all the parties that they have, which is also nice, but first look after your nation, first look after the sick, first look after the poor, first look after education, make sure everybody is looked after. And then you can all party together. And the country would party together if it's brought up like that. Everybody will help each other. We keep pulling each other up. But that's in an ideal world which your generation will make.
Could I ask a question on meditation? If you're meditating and your mind is wandering, I'm wandering off. So let's say at 5:30 in the morning one meditates. That's a good time, right?
That's a brilliant time if you can do it. Wonderful.
Well, that's the time I get up, so I suppose. But then my mind wanders. So do I just stop and not carry on meditating? Because if I'm getting all fidgety and whatever.
When you're getting all fidgety, take it, do pranayama. Don't stop. You're training your mind. You're still training. So don't stop. If you stop, it's like giving up. Okay, use pranayama. Start breathing in and out with the mantra, but use pranayama. Take slow and watch the breath go in, watch the breath go out. Use pranayama, use pranamaya kosha to help to get the mental realm, which is chattering. That's why you need to know the koshas. Now you understand? You use pranayama to help you with the physical while you're meditating. Got it? Okay. But don't stop. Because if you stop, you'll never get there. Okay? And then finally, we have samadhi.
Samadhi.
Can you all say samadhi? Absorption. Absorption or superconscious state. You just become one. They talk about becoming one. I see, we're all one. There's no separation. You don't feel like any separation. You just are one. But we won't even discuss that because unless you're there, then you can't talk about it. Okay? So, but that's the goal. So the 8 limbs of yoga, will you repeat with me, please? Yama, abstinence. Niyama, observance.
Asana, postures. Pranayama, breath control. Pratyahara, sense control. Dharana, concentration. Dhyana, meditation. Samadhi, contemplation.
Yeah, absorption into super consciousness, whatever you want to call it. Being one with God. My Father and I are one. As Lord Jesus said, and you're all my brothers and sisters, which means you can all be one with my Father as well, because you're my brothers and sisters. So, and that's the state, that's the final state. Now, before you go home, we still have another 5 minutes. We'll just go quickly through what yama is, quickly through what niyama is, and then we'll approach each one of them next week, one by one, all right? And go deep into each of them. So, can somebody read Sutra 30, please? Any volunteers?
Yama consists of non-violence, truthfulness, non-stealing, continence, and non-greed.
Okay, now I would also, in modern language, don't forget this book has been really, really kind of made for people who are just going towards monkhood. So brahmacharya is the word. Brahma means God. Charya means disciple of God. and it has been translated in many, many different ways, celibacy, continence, etc. For me, it actually means balance, being so in touch with the Brahma inside of you, the God inside of you. And when you're in that balance, you won't do anything that will take you out of that balance. It is brahmacharya. Moderation, balance. After studying this for many, 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 many years, I have come to that conclusion. I have seen many, many relationships wrecked because somebody I have to practice brahmacharya and the other partner is not ready. So there's a lot of misunderstanding. I've seen many people leave their families and destroy their homes because they say they have to find God and they have to practice celibacy, and then they're neither there or here. Both worlds don't work for them, and they spend a life of frustration and anger, and that is not what it's all about as well. So a lot of these, this is, don't forget, most of you are householders, unless any of you want to be a monk. That's different, then you apply a different technique. All right, but for the rest of the householders, you have to do everything in moderation. But life is about moderation. Eat too much, you get sick. Eat too little, you get sick. You know, everything in moderation. So that's yama, just to get you more clear. And then let's go to 1031. I love this one. These great vows are universal. They're universal. They're universal laws, not limited by class, place, time, or circumstance. In other words, it doesn't matter what class you are, it doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter which time it is in your life, and it doesn't matter the circumstances. No excuses, in other words, to break this law. Okay? So these are the great vows. I love the word. Great vows. In other words, we're supposed to make these vows to ourselves. And now let's finish off with niyama. Niyama consists of purity. Purity means purity of body, purity of mind. Pure thoughts, and keep your body clean. Gurudev always said, cleanliness is godliness. Yeah, it's next to godliness. So keep yourself clean, look after yourself too. And contentment, be content, accepting but not causing pain. Don't apply revenge in your life. Remember we talked about it earlier, when you learn to accept in the beginning, it's very hard. It feels like you're burning because you really want to fight back. But you also know that if you fight back, the consequences. So you hold back. And in the beginning, that holding back burns you up. But try not to hit back, because then it goes, again you have to face the situation. It's like a continuous addiction that never stops. So stop that process, accepting and not causing back in return. And then study of spiritual books, which is what you're all doing now. And for the next few months, that's all you're going to be doing. So you don't even have to think about Swadhyaya. You are going to be doing that. And books, and finally Ishvara Pranidhana. We don't have the Sanskrit, we need to learn that too. Ishvara Pranidhanam is surrender to the highest, surrender to God, surrender to the universe, whatever you call God, Jesus, Krishna, Shiva, Buddha is irrelevant, but that highest energy, surrender, let go, and that's the final niyama. You have to learn the words in Sanskrit. So what I'm going to ask you to do, can you see on top, if you look at Sutra 30, you can see ahimsa, non-violence, satya, truthfulness, asteya, non-stealing, brahmacharya, continence, aparigraha, non-greed. Alright? So I need you to learn all that. That's your homework, and niyama as well. Socha, santosha, brahmacharya.
Sorry, only on the 30th? Or?
Now we're going to 32.
No, but what we said that as homework we have to learn
All.
the 30, all of them.
Yes, in Sanskrit and in English. First of all, should I make it, I'm not clear, let me make it clear. You have to learn the 8 limbs of yoga by heart in Sanskrit and in English. You have to learn the yamas in Sanskrit and in English by heart. You have to learn the niyamas in Sanskrit and English by heart. There's a reason why you have to learn it in Sanskrit. The reason being, in English, the words do not fill that space. And once you learn, what real non-violence means, then you will say ahimsa is a much bigger meaning than what we think non-violence is. It's much deeper. It goes to even non-violent emotions. All right? So that is your homework. For Saturday, this Saturday we're meeting, right?
Yeah.
So there's no classes or...
Yeah. So we have all of you doing a talk. So on Saturday, I would like you to take any one of the 8 limbs that we worked on today, but not much, but any one you choose. All right? Any one of the 8 limbs, and speak about it for 5 minutes. If you are not sure of any of them, you can read. There's lots of books you can read. There's lots of research you can do. You can look at the other book, How to Know God. You can also look it up on the internet as well. There's everything available today. You don't even need books. Start building up your own spiritual library by touching the lives of saints and sages. Why do I say touching their lives? Because they take you to the highest. All right? So, yes.
There's also a library here.
Yes, we have a beautiful library, and thank you. Ole and Kim donated many books, and other people have donated many, many books. You can help yourself to the library books and just return it so other people can borrow them too. So it's available to everyone. Okay, so please use them. They're for you. They're not for me. They're all for you. Donated by people, and so. And hopefully you'll get bigger soon, but I don't know where to put them. This hall is not big enough. So, are you all clear on your homework?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. And I have some of the essays that I can return to you. Those are the new ones. I don't want the new ones. No, those are the new ones. These are the new ones. And after we finish the meditation, I'll just quickly call your name and please come and pick them up. Honestly, they're amazing. I am really so impressed. It's again, I can't believe it. Every time I do a course, the standard gets higher. I'm sure it must be many of you are really changing yourselves inside and making great shifts in your life by yourself. So, when I first taught Raja Yoga, how many years ago, 15, 16 years ago, people looked at me in blank when I talked about yama niyama and yoga's chitta vritti nirodha. Hours to teach that, hours upon hours and weeks upon weeks, and now people get it just like that. It's really, you live in great times.